Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on a very warm start to the week, a very warm Monday. There's a heat advisory for my area for today, tomorrow, and the next day, where the temperatures will be approaching 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I think tomorrow it's supposed to approach 100 degrees Fahrenheit. A heat advisory for humans, of course. Be mindful of the vulnerable people in your area who might not have air conditioning in their homes. Be mindful of them, maybe check on them. And also a heat advisory for pets. Those of us who walk our dogs outside, the pavement is boiling hot by the middle of the day when the temperature is like this, so you want to be careful about that as well. Nevertheless, the Bean and I did go out for a walk. She's not on her couch porch because it's pretty warm up there. She's instead wedged right next to me as usual. We did go out for a walk. We had an unsavory encounter. I will, just as a public service announcement, point out again, your dog is not a toy, and especially your dog is not a weapon. If you are using your dog or implying to random strangers that you run across that your dog is a threat to them, better not get any closer. I don't know, better not get any closer. Then you're a bad dog owner who deserves to lose his dog. Deserves to be reported to the authorities, found the next time you're walking your dog, and have him forcibly removed from you. Even if he's euthanized, it's better than what he'll go through with you. It's a bad idea to act that way to total strangers. It's a very bad idea to do that with me. Just as a PSA. But the Bean and I were not out for long at any one time because after the noonday hour, it was too hot. It was also an active day in terms of work. Steve came back online to the internet. I turned my laptop on tech advice. I've taken tech advice that I must turn my laptop off overnight. So I do. I might as well. It's no great loss to turn it off because I don't consult it overnight. Anyway, I read all night long. So I usually wait, and then when the morning festivities are over, I do a lot of reading in the morning when it's nice and quiet and cool. I take care of the baby in the morning, see to her needs and whatnot. I see to my own needs, and then more or less around the time that I would ordinarily go to work, 9 in the morning, more or less then I come back online. And when I did that this morning, it wasn't long before I noticed that there were paying work offers in my inbox. So that's gonna involve a revamping of the landscape. But for now, anyway, I have the time to make a few videos. So I thought we'd go through the mail. I got some periodicals, including a free issue of The Spectator from the UK. Spectator World, is that the new name of the thing? I subscribed to The Spectator once a long time ago, but not in a while. They sent me a free issue, and naturally I looked at, there's quite a bit of books coverage in the back. The front is quite a bit of UK politics coverage. I don't know how much of that is going to be palatable to me, but maybe the UK World edition has less of that, because I noticed there's a lot of articles in here that aren't about UK politics. I don't know. I don't know whether or not I want to go for this. The paper that was included with it said that the subscription, annual subscription, is $80. If this it's a big magazine. If it has a lot of content, that might be worth it. I don't know. The first, I have the whole bunch of magazines that I want to subscribe to. I'm waiting until I have a little bit of tech assistance to do that. I've let some key subscriptions lapse. I let National Geographic lapse. That was a big mistake. And I want to subscribe to New York Magazine and also maybe the Literary Review and maybe The Spectator is on that horizon. Well, I got that. That was a free issue. I'll be reading through that. And then I got 2 issues of the TLS. Just doubled up on the Times Literary Supplement. That sometimes happens. And in this first one, I checked, of course, the letters columns to see if anybody was responding to the response to my letter, and also seeing whether or not they printed my own response to the response to my letter. I think that's too small scale for them to want to keep it going, so I think we've seen the last of it. But somebody from Columbus, Ohio, fired off a great letter in response to a review, in response to a specific quote in a review. In her review of Strangers and Intimates, The Rise and Fall of Private Life, by Tiffany Jenkins, Cordelia Fine quotes a remark made by the CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, in 2009. And this is the quote he said: "If you have something that you don't want anyone to know, maybe you shouldn't be doing it in the first place." Close quote. And the letter writer goes on, "That's pretty rich, considering that Google's corporate security is famously tight. I wonder if they're doing anything in there that they don't want anyone to know." Succinctly put, aptly and succinctly put, Google is, of course, involved in overthrowing governments. They're involved in overthrowing whole nations. They're in no position to say, if you're doing something you don't want anyone to know about, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. They're in no position to say that. They don't care. I might also point out here, I know it's largely useless to point it out in this day and age, this late hour, where the lights are going out all over the world. I should point out that if you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide, is a fascist argument. That is an authoritarian thing. No normal person will say that. A normal person will see right away, they will understand right away the value of privacy. They won't see privacy as something you only invoke when you are trying to keep secrets from your masters. Only people who want to be your masters will think that or say it. That it is not an argument, it is not valid, it is not a valid consideration at all. All it does, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about. All that does is out the speaker as a fascist. That's all. There's no actual argumentative merit to it at all. The only way you can say that is if you don't want me to have privacy. It's not that you don't understand what privacy is. You understand it perfectly well. But privacy is power. And you don't want me to have that. That's the only reason that you would say that, because you don't want them to have that. It was a good repost. I missed that quote completely, or I'd have fired off a letter myself. It doesn't take much to get me to fire off a letter. But let's look at the mail. We have 2 boxes. One is small, and I believe it's from a publisher, and one is big, and I believe it's from you. So let's look at the small one first. Hopefully it will come quietly. No, it will not come quietly. Okay. Got our scissors right here. You don't want scissors to be very far away at any time. Cut our way in. I might have to cut my way into the second one as well. So we'll keep scissors at hand. Let's see what we have here. Maybe if this is a box from a publisher, maybe it's a finished copy of something. That would be nice. Finished copies are always good, especially August finished copies. Ooh, oh, very good. Okay, is that exactly what you are? Yes, this is an August finished copy. Great, fantastic. All right, we've already seen this on this channel, but I happily show it again. This is the finished copy of a new biography of the great poet Cavafy by George Justanis and Peter Jeffries. So there he is as a young dandy. This is new from Farrar, Straus and Giroux. Cavafy renounced almost his entire body of work in the Middle Age and began anew, writing queer poetry that conjured an Alexandria of hidden desires and crumbling empires. Here, queer is meant in the explicitly political term, not in the sense of odd. In a term that Cavafy himself would have vigorously rejected in the way that it's meant. But it doesn't matter. He's on our team, so we're claiming him. In doing so, he single-handedly made his canon of 154 works of global phenomenon, refusing to let E.M. Forster publish his work in English, personally distributing his pieces, and curating his literary reputation at the cost of all his close relationships. This unparalleled biography, the first on Cavafy in over 50 years, pulls back the veil on the mysterious man who is often considered the greatest Greek poet of the 20th century. The co-biographers thematically explore the most intimate details of Cavafy's psychology and provide more sweeping accounts of the socio-political forces shaping his life's work. We see how his family's economic ruin in England and return to Egypt led Cavafy to cling to British culture, with erudition and Victorian asceticism acting as a kind of social safety net. Yeah, he couldn't have enjoyed it on its own, because it's settler colonialism. How the intimacy between Cavafy and his brother John ranged from heartfelt to strained, and how the loss of this trusted advocate impacted him. And how he made sense of his identity as an Egyptian Greek at a time when Hellenism was flourishing in Egypt alongside the violent pushback and political uprisings. And we come to understand his poetry's concerns, how his preoccupations with the fall of the Byzantine Empire mirrored his family's financial fall, and how his own sexuality informed his most erotic stanzas. Okay, well, that's great. I have the advanced copy of this, and I haven't got to it, even though August is right around the corner. So I'm glad to have the finished copy, which will have the whole bibliography, if there is a bibliography. Do I dare even check? So many allegedly scholarly books these days just come without bibliographies. Okay, there. Let's check and see. Since I mentioned it, we might as well see if this is a real book or if it's not. Okay, a dramatis personae. That's interesting, and that's good. Notes. We have well over 100 pages of notes. Works cited. Okay, that's good enough. And it's big. It's big and long, and a lot of the works are in Greek. Okay, good. All right, fine. Fantastic. So that comes out in mid-August. Those of you who are interested in literary biographies, poet lives, you're definitely going to want that. Order it from your library, or if you're flush, order it from Amazon. And then we'll move to the big box, which I think is a part of the library sale of the damned. this apparently ongoing phenomenon in this channel, where I have co-opted your once carefree trips to your local public library book sale. An honored summertime event where you and your significant other would go and hold hands and go to the library book sale, maybe get a couple of books, and then come home and feel good about yourselves. And that carefree time is over because I have control your library book sale. You must still go to your library book sale and drag your significant other along, definitely. But you must shop for me, not for yourself. You can shop for yourself when you're done shopping for me. And shopping for me involves not only, I think Steve would like that. No, nobody cares what you think. The eyes on the prize, okay? This is a parasocial relationship where I do all the thinking. You're just here to look pretty. It's not, I think Steve would like that. It's take pictures of each individual section of the library book sale, email those pictures to me in real time, and stand there waiting until I respond, no matter how long it takes me to do so. And if your significant other, that third wheel in our relationship, says, honey, this isn't for that weird guy you watch all the time, is it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You're sending him pictures while we're on our special time together? Why? You must look at them, drop your eyelids, and say, because Steve commands it. They hate me anyway. They don't understand our relationship already. They're trying to come between us. So you might as well make it official. Just say, because Steve commands it. And I think that's what this is. I think this is a box of stuff from a library book sale. I mean, what are the odds that it could be anything else? And yes, this does require the scissors. I'm glad I kept them at hand. Let us see, with the scissors away here, let us see what's in here. What goodies came from this library book sale? Well, there's one thing in here that's not a book. Oh, that's right. Look at this. This is a sweatshirt, a hoodie, as they say, for Putt Van Winkle miniature golf. How wonderful! Now I know who this is from, because the person mentioned that they were going to put a hoodie in the box, and I made a prediction to them that the hoodie would be a full 5 adult sizes too small to fit me. I haven't looked. I'll check with this after I'm done with the video, but I'd be willing to bet that if I opened this hoodie, I would not be able to squeeze my arm into the body of the clothing. I'd be willing to bet it isn't even that big. Something that you may not gather from this channel, from my lovely face, is that I'm enormous. I'm this enormous, florid, smallpox-scarred, gray-haired old Boston dinosaur. I'm enormous. So if you send me normal clothing, I won't even be able to get my arm inside it, let alone get my body inside it. And I'm sure that that's what this is. And if that's what this is, I will simply keep it, because it's the thought that counts. That is wonderful. So now let's move on to the books, which are always the right size. And there's a lot of them in here. So let me see. I don't remember what I'm co-opting so many library book sales now that I don't remember which is which. Oh, okay, I do remember this. This has a heavy Tudor emphasis. So somebody nudged Janet Wortman awake because this has a heavy Tudor emphasis. This thing, for instance, is part of a biography series. This is from 1934. It's by Helen Simpson, and it's a biography of Henry VIII. This was part of a series that was very Oxford short introduction type thing, so this will not be a heavily scholarly work, but it doesn't matter. I haven't read it, and it will be full of the author's insights. Series like this are always like that. I wonder if this includes a list of the other books. Yeah, Appleton biographies. Whole list of them. And the thing about books in series like this is you're not going to get any original scholarship. You're, of course, not going to get anything gone over in great detail. Imagine a book this size, even glancingly looking at the English Reformation, among many other subjects. You're not going to get any of that in a book like this. And the authors who take the easy money to do this is probably £150 that Helen Simpson got to do this. The authors who take these jobs know that. They know perfectly well that they can't break any new ground. A lot of the ones that take these jobs can break new ground if they want to, but they don't. Instead, what you'll get in the best of cases is wonderful aphorisms, just one turn of phrase after another tossed off. And I love that. I love these books for that. So let's see. Let's manage our feng shui here. Oh, boy. All right, well, not Tudor here, but close enough. This is John Miller's biography of Charles II, which I don't have. This is in perfect condition. It has the library covering on it and everything. And I only have, right now at the moment, I only have Antonia Fraser's biography of Charles II, Royal Charles. I love this book. I loved it. When did this first come out? The 80s? Is that right? 1991. And I read it and loved it. I gobbled it up. King Charles II is a very, as I mentioned on videos like this, he's a very easy person to write a bad biography of. It's very easy with him to just stick to dumb folklore. Your readers will eat it up. Your book will sell. And this book isn't that. So very good. Very, very good. Let's see here. What is next? All right, back to the Tudors. This is by E. Barrington. This is a biography of Anne Boleyn. And the spine there says, a daredevil beauty stakes all and loses in the great game of kings and kingdoms. And this is from 1932. So this is probably, I mean, you could tell, this is probably going to be dumb. I think, if I remember correctly, E. Barrington, I'm pretty sure that this is a novel. We have an ex libris sticker, but they crossed out the name. How gormless is that? I'm pretty sure that this is a novel. Look at that artwork. And stamps all over it from the library. L. Adams Beck is E. Barrington, who wrote a lot of books. He wrote Anne Boleyn, he wrote The Irish Beauties, The Duel of the Queens, The Laughing Queen, The Divine Lady, Glorious Apollo. So romances. Basically, this is Victoria Holt, only probably not as talented. Is this a novel, though? This story is as true to history as the consultation of many authorities can make it. The letters and poems are all authentic, though modernized in spelling and condensed at need. Okay, so it is a novel. How does it start? If our father had not given you a Frenchwoman about you, it would have been better for you and for all of us. Tossed the young girl to the elder. You are as arrant a coquette as walks on 10 toes, and what you have and she have been at, and what you and she have been after at the French court, God knows. If she could further you in any devilry, she would. Why, now you have come back packed with French airs and graces. You cannot so much as pass a gardener lad without your eyes asking, what would you give to kiss me? And you mock me? That's the beginning of the book. It starts in the middle of a diatribe in dialogue. Although I might point out, you don't walk on your toes. You're a hominid, so you're a plantigrade. Each to his own trade, sister, but for my part, I don't admire your motto, all for love and the world's well lost. Maybe it's safer to have a gardener lad casting sheep's eyes than to allow a king to make you a laughingstock. Simonette has taught me better than that, all said and done. And all I had a lesson or two at the French court. After all, our father was ambassador there, and the Frenchmen thought me worth teaching. Needless to say, this scene takes place at Eva Castle, and it is between Mary Boleyn and Anne Boleyn. Interesting. So that gives us immediately, it doesn't have any dates or anything, doesn't tell us anything, but that tells us, the reader, right away, where this is and when it is. Mary is already the mistress of the king, and Anne is not. So that's what will come from here. We'll take off from that point. Oh, there's a note. I've got to show you this. Steve commands it. Yes, yes, indeed. All right, let's move on here. Oh, wonderful. Okay, this is Hester Chapman's book. This is from the 1940s. Is that right? No, 1974. This is The Challenge of Anne Boleyn, an intelligent book about Anne Boleyn. Very good, very good. Very happy to have this. Let's see here. Hester Chapman wrote a bunch of other. Yeah, Fear No More, The Last Tudor King, Thistle and the Rose. And The Challenge of Anne Boleyn was written came out, it was published in 1974. It's dedicated to Alan Drury, who was once a very popular novelist and also wrote a couple of really good historical novels about ancient Egypt. And I believe, if I remember correctly, this may be the last thing she ever wrote. The author's grateful thanks are due to Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II for her gracious permission to reproduce the Holbein drawings of Sir Thomas Wyatt and Sir Thomas Boleyn, and the portrait of the Duke of Norfolk. Thanks are also due to His Grace the Duke of Northumberland for leave to reproduce the medallion of Harry Percy, 6th Earl of Northumberland, and on and on. She thanks the whole Berks peerage. So, how does this start? Several lives of Anne Boleyn have been published, most of which are pejorative when not condemnatory. And indeed, she can hardly be described as an elevated or sympathetic character. One of the reasons for this is that her background, gorgeously appointed though it was, might be compared to a snake pit, of which nearly all the occupants were venomous, not least the gigantic and terrible Magnifico who ruled it, and over whom she achieved partial domination for some 9 years. In such circumstances, she inevitably acquired a reputation of an unscrupulous and predatory siren. She was reviled by the English people, feared even by her allies, but also adored, first by a feeble-spirited aspirant, later by the husband who struck her down, and then by the poet of genius, and perhaps even by those 5 young men destroyed with and through her. Okay, well, Hester, I think you have the timing wrong as to when she beguiled Thomas Wyatt. But that's okay. It doesn't matter to me. This is great. Absolutely fantastic. So this is a full index, and the notes, the notes are at the end of every chapter. Great. Fantastic. Okay, an Anne Boleyn book. That's wonderful. All right, let's keep going. We've got plenty more to do. Oh, fantastic. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Like I said, somebody wake up Janet Workman. She's got to see this. So this is also vintage. These are exactly the kinds of things that don't get reprinted. They never will get reprinted. They'll never get consulted. But who's to say they aren't good? This is from 1972. This is a biography of Mary Tudor from 1972, the Lady Mary. The title being, I assume, a pointed reference to the fact that for a long time she was not allowed to call herself Princess Mary. She was not in the line of succession. She was not an acknowledged daughter of the king. So the most that Henry would allow is that people could refer to her as the Lady Mary. And she hated that. As far as she was concerned, she was the princess and the heir. Okay, great. This is... Milton Waldman was born in Cleveland, Ohio, but we won't hold that against him. And he wrote a bunch of Elizabethan-era biographies. It looks like this is the earliest person that he biographed. Okay, great. Fantastic. A biography of Mary I, now known to history as Bloody Mary. I have only 2 biographies of her, so that's wonderful. And, of course, something like this I have not read. That's the whole point I'm saying. One of the things that is awful about the genres of biography and history is that people tend to think the latest thing is the only thing worth reading. Like we're talking about medical science or something like that. When older biography, it's not like we have, a new Kodak pictures of Henry VIII. We don't. All you're talking about in a newer book is an interpretation built on other earlier interpretations. That is very worthwhile. Of course, that is the whole discipline of history and biography. But it's not everything. It's not everything. It doesn't mean that older works of history and biography should be immediately dismissed unless they're fraudulent, unless actual paradigm-changing facts have come to light. But try telling that to people. try telling somebody that they should read William Hickling Prescott. That they should read, an old history of America. And these are the same thing. So what is this next? Oh, all right, okay. This is by Michael Glenn, and this is Henry VIII's fifth wife. This is a rather old hardcover here. So what have we got here? There is one inscription from 1997, but there's also an inscription from 1949. And surely this thing came out in the 30s. No, 1948. 1948. This is a biography, I think. Is it? Well, let's find out. No life has ever been written of Catherine Howard, yet here is the most tragic and fascinating of all the stories of Henry VIII's wives. I don't think it's the most tragic or the most fascinating. Surely Catherine of Aragon is the most tragic. Maybe not the most fascinating, but surely the most tragic. Her life was never her own. She conquered an enemy on the battlefield for her husband with his full authority. Surely in that moment, she must have thought, my future is secure. And what was that future? Year after year after year being denied the company even for a minute of her own daughter. Out of spite, out of pure spite. Dying that way. Without ever seeing the one person in the world that means more to you than anything. And that's surely the most tragic and the most fascinating. Well, there are plenty and more fascinating. I would argue the last wife is the most fascinating. But let's see. Although queen for only a year before her execution, Catherine's whole life from the moment of her birth was bound up inextricably with the king and his colorful, ruthless court. Her uncle was the Duke of Norfolk and the first minister of the crown. Her cousin was the ill-fated Anne Boleyn. At 16, Catherine became maid of honor to the king's fourth wife, Princess Anne of Cleves, and when Anne was repudiated, the lively, lovable Catherine took her place as queen. Okay, but her life wasn't inextricably bound up with the king's for the whole of that time. Right? For a long time, her cousin, Anne Boleyn, was the whole focus of her family, and was actually Queen of England. At that time, no one in the Howard family was thinking Catherine Howard would ever be anything but a drug on the market, but just another needy mouth to feed if we can marry her off to somebody. Her life wasn't inextricably bound to the king then, and that was a large part of her life. That was most of her life. We see her strange upbringing in the licentious Norfolk household, her entry into court life, and her association with Tom Culpeper, rudely shattered by the king's dawning interest, her marriage with Henry, and finally her downfall, brought about by Cranmer, Archbishop of Canterbury, to further his Protestant ambitions. Oh my! So, Michael, are you anti-Catholic? You're a Catholic historian? Do you have an axe to grind here? Catherine Howard's downfall was the result of Catherine Howard. Okay? Not anybody else. Not anybody else. Not Cranmer, not anybody else. Just Catherine Howard, who kept on with licentious affairs after she was married to someone who had beheaded one of his earlier wives. If that, like I always say, she was the youngest and dumbest of Henry's wives. This, a perfect example. I have never read this before. A biography of Catherine Howard? Fantastic. Oh, we've got a couple more to go here. What's this next one? Oh, okay, another Tudor book. Good Lord. When are you from? Do I even want to guess? 1930s? I don't know. Oh, it must be earlier than that. It doesn't even say when it's from. Good Lord. Okay, well, do we have any inscription? Yeah, there's one inscription from 1990, but that clearly not. Oh, there's a Christmas inscription from 1901. So I'm thinking this is the late 19th century. This is The Life of Lady Jane Grey by David Bartlett. A biography of Lady Jane Grey. That is probably not her, but you get the idea. And you might know her from a movie. There was a movie called Lady Jane with Helena Bonham Carter, Cary Elwes as her husband, Guilford. A quite good movie. Quite good. A little mannered, but quite good. And this is a biography of her fantastic. From at least 1901. It was Christmas 1901. Maybe it was a gift for Christmas. Maybe that inscription tells us that. I'll have to look and see. I'll have to find out. It doesn't seem to have a date in it, so I'll have to find out when this was made. But I've never read it. A biography of Lady Jane Grey. I have a couple of them, but I don't have this one. Who has this one? And then finally we have this last one. We'll save the note because it has that great Steve commands it on there. I definitely want to save that. But let's see what this last one is. Oh, it's completely worn out on the spine. Can't even tell. I can't even read the spine. This also has inscriptions. One from looks like 1964, and one from 1942. Oh, this is about my guy. Oh no. Oh wow. Oh, I wish this had a dust jacket. I can give it one. I can give it one of its own. This is from 1941. This is called Victoria's Heir: The Education of a Prince by George Dangerfield, and it's about Bertie. It's about the future King Edward VII. By George Dangerfield, who will be famous to you if you know the name at all. You know it for a completely different book, not this book. But from that different book, you will know what a heck of a writer George Dangerfield is. He's an amazingly good writer. And I have never read this book. Of course I've never read this book. I've read, I don't know, probably 20 books about or biographies of Edward VII, but not this one. When would I ever come across this? Look at this. Look how old this thing is and battered it is. No one would ever have. This has never cropped up at the Brattle that I remember. Does it have any pictures? No, he did not get the permission of the Queen to preprint pictures. This is just the story of Edward. So I imagine that the bulk of this is going to be when he was just heir and not when he was king. Probably this ends with him being king. Let's take a look at the chapters. Yeah, the very last chapter, chapter 9, is titled Edward VII. So all the rest of this is going to be his earlier life. Fantastic. Okay, great. All right, well, there you go. There you go. So this is a rarity. First of all, this entire mail haul is almost exclusively biographies. That doesn't usually happen. We have Constantine Cavafy. That's new. But then most of these books are biographies. We have a biography of Edward VII when he was just Prince of Wales. He was Prince of Wales for a long, long time. We have a biography of Lady Jane Grey. We have a biography of Catherine Howard, a slim little thing, with a dust jacket, though. We have a biography of Mary Tudor, also slim. We have a biography of Anne Boleyn, also slim, but this is the one that has probably the highest likelihood of being on the pile for tonight. One of these things was a novel, though, right? Yes, Anne Boleyn by E. Barrington is a novel. With a licentious King Henry there, besotted and in love with Anne Boleyn. I'm not against Anne Boleyn novels. I've read a ton of them. And a little bit, King Edward's a little bit out of place, and so is this Charles II biography. A little bit out of place, but immensely glad to have it. And finally, this little thing that we started off with, a little biography of Henry VIII. So a very Tudor-heavy book haul here. Wonderful. Fantastic. So the library book sale of the damned continues. That's wonderful. Good. Keep it coming. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. Sorry for the length of the video, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.